And welcome. I thought I'd mute myself right off the bat and see how long it took me to see, but I think I was muted. Anyways, I'm Natalie. This is Life After a Cult, the channel where we expose cult nonsense, we laugh at the absurdities, and we hopefully unbrainwash ourselves in the process. Hello to everybody in the chat. Great to see you. Members, live chat moderators, thank you for being here. Ooh, it is a big day, y'all. Buckle up because today's video is a wild ride through the bizarre, the shady, and the downright unbelievable. We've got Tom Cruise claiming he can stare down anxiety like it's a suppressive person. Linkin Park's new singer, Emily Armstrong, giving therapy the cold shoulder because apparently e-meters are the new mental health care. And Aaron Smith-Levin breaking down how Scientology recruiting efforts don't stop even after death. And if that wasn't enough, wait till you hear Rosemary Brown's chilling story about being forced to handle asbestos without any safety protocols while trapped on Scientology's rehabilitation project force. And spoiler alert, they didn't give her money for basic hygiene supplies. She tells the whole story. We're going to get into that. We do have a question of the day today, everybody. If you haven't already answered it in the chat, and if you're on the replay, jump in those comments. The question of the day is, Tom Cruise's anxiety cure does, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. What is my question of the day? Hold on. I don't even know the question of the day. Nancy had a power outage and she's usually behind the scenes and she stars my question of the day. And in StreamYard, I can't see YouTube. So somebody has to tell me what the question of the day is because I think I wrote it down wrong. What do I have written down? Nope, that is not the question of the day. Okay. Mama Opals, can somebody put the question of the day in the chat and then I'll go back and read it. And if you were on the replay, please do answer it in the comments. I love going back and reading comments after these videos. I'm not always able to respond to all of them, but I do like to go back and read them because y'all are hilarious. You really are. Okay, if Scientology were made a reality show, wasn't there more to that though? Here it is. Question of the day. If Scientology ever made a reality show, what would they call it? Keeping Up with the Thetans or Auditing Wars? Thank you. And I hope Nancy's power comes back on soon. I can't even imagine in winter, although that girl loves the cold weather. So she is trained for this for a long time, but we're thinking of you, Nancy. All right, now let's jump into this Tom Cruise story because I just have thoughts and things to say about this. Ooh, y'all. All right, so this was in Variety, right? Variety magazine. Oh, wait. We're going to be sharing that and that, but we want to share that first. Okay, we have to talk about this because this kind of blew my mind. This really surprised me. I don't know if you guys know this, but Haley Atwell, Haley Atwell, who I guess is in a new Tom Cruise movie, says that Tom Cruise helped her deal with social anxiety while filming Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I think you can all kind of guess where this is going to go. So basically, look at that. There's a picture of them there. That must be during filming. So we can see what she looks like. So how did he help her with anxiety? He said, if you're scared of something, just keep looking at it. I think you can translate that into stare it down like you're in a Scientology auditing session and don't blink until it submits. Do the Xenu eyes. So according to Tom Cruise's wisdom, you walk into a room, you spot what triggers your anxiety. Oh, if it could only be so simple. You spot it, and then you stare them down like you're Ethan Hunt disarming an explosive or something, right? You just like stare it down. Now, she didn't really specify, like, do you just stare it down and, like send evil vibes to it? Like, what do you do? Are you just confronting it? My guess is it's like he's basically given the Scientology version of just being there comfortably and confronting. Haley said that once she names the anxiety, whether it's jealousy, intimidation, or fear, it's like labeling a rogue FBI agent, I guess. Suddenly, the free floating fear disappears, and now she can neutralize the target. And it does make sense, right? Name your fears, things like that. But here's what's interesting to me about this is I feel like Tom Cruise, this is a bit squirrel. So as a former Scientologist and, Office of Special Affairs, We won't wake y'all up because you got to know about this, because I think Tom Cruise might be squirreling here. David Miscavige, wake up your people. Wake up, Office of Special Affairs. Rise and shine. It is Monday, and I love a good Monday. So, looking at this, listening to this advice, of course, y'all got to let me know what you think about it, because it's like, okay, so was Dead Reckoning an action thriller or just a really intense group therapy retreat? Because Tom Cruise saves the world. Tom Cruise saves your mental health. This summer, one man takes down anxiety, one awkward glance at a time. Can you imagine you start walking onto Tom Cruise movie sets and everybody's just like staring at things? What are you doing? We're combating our anxiety using the Tom Cruise method. Is it a Jedi level wisdom, or is it a mesh of Scientology and psychiatry? I don't know. I just don't know. I just think it's weird. It's almost like, I mean, okay, here's what I think. I think it's this simple. Scientologists are not allowed to alter L. Ron Hubbard's technology, right? And if you share it, you're supposed to like cite your reference. L. Ron Hubbard's dead, like give the credit. So if that's what he's doing, he's technically squirreling, because I don't know of anything in Scientology that says to stare at your anxiety or the thing that brings you anxiety. Maybe confront it. So I feel like he's combining two things. But you guys tell me what you think about that. I'm like, how is he not getting in trouble for this? We know he's not going to get in trouble for that because he's Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise is David Miscavige's best friend. And he's not going to get in trouble. He's not. At least not now. But I feel like he's pushing boundaries, saying that and giving that advice that way. With Scientology rules, I feel like that was a little bold. Now, another thing, we're gonna talk about another celebrity here. Let's get rid of Tom Cruise. We have to talk about Emily Armstrong and Linkin Park. We do. Because this girl, let's see here. Let's use, there's this article in the Underground Bunker. Tony Ortega covered this. I've seen other outlets covering it as well. This is strange. This is bizarre, or at least I would say, you know what? Technically, is it really strange and bizarre? It's involving a Scientologist. It kind of like, that's part of the brand. I feel like you just have to, go with the flow on it. Look at this. For one, I love that picture there. So Emily Armstrong, as you know, right, she is now with Linkin Park because they decided to, I don't know why, but hire somebody who is a Scientologist and has very different views from Chester Bennington on mental health. Emily Armstrong came from Dead Sarah after a 7-year hiatus following Chester Bennington's death, but there's a plot twist. Emily's not just a singer, she is a Scientologist. And not just your run-of-the-mill, I took a Dianetics course Scientologist. No, her mom is Sea Organization royalty. Her mom has signed that billion-year contract. Both her parents, actually. In fact, her dad I worked with for a hot minute in the Sea Organization. Emily grew up while marinating in L. Ron Hubbard's greatest hits. So while Chester was out here advocating for mental health, Scientology's over here saying psychiatry is the spawn of Xenu. Oh, and fun fact, Emily's mom, Gail Armstrong, was in the hole with Mike Rinder. Yeah, that hole. Bars on the window, locked door security guard, the one where Scientology locks up their executives like it's a corporate Hunger Games. She was there. And it gets better. In 2020, Emily showed up to support Danny Masterson at his arraignment, yet before he got, was it right before? It was right before. It was right before he got 30 years to life for, being a monster. And when people start asking, Emily, what is this about? She released a statement that conveniently left out more than one little word. She left out the word Scientology, but she left out a lot. Didn't mention Scientology like Voldemort. Just, you cannot mention it. Don't saying it. She said, I regret showing up that day. I never spoke to him again. Girl, that's like saying, I regret going to that barbecue and I didn't know the ribs were made out of human flesh. So Chester was such an advocate for mental health, and Scientology advocates for e-meters. And this is where it gets really awkward. Chester Bennington being that advocate for mental health, and tragically, he lost his battle with depression. And now Linkin Park has replaced him with someone whose entire belief system teaches that psychiatry is an evil conspiracy dating back trillions of years, y'all. Trillions with a T. trillions. According to Scientology, a psychiatrist didn't just mess up your last relationship. No, no, no. They've been implanting evil thoughts in your mind since before dinosaurs were a thing. So while Chester was encouraging people to get help, Emily's childhood teachings were telling her that antidepressants are Satan's tic tacs. Very, very different. How these two things came together and how that just makes how they think it's going to work has just been beyond me for a long time. So fast forward to now, right? Emily's out here living her best life, no doubt, posting Instagram photos from Dodgers games, beach trips, and studio sessions, like everything's sunshine, all you need is love. It's like everything is fine. But then, bam, photo number 8. She dropped this photo. This is where Scientology pokes its little Thetan covered head back into the conversation. She shares this photo, right? She doesn't feel comfortable now. She doesn't like talk about Scientology, right? But here's what she does. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. She shares this photo here, right there, giving a big, you know what, to therapy. That's bizarre. That's strange. I don't understand it. Someone raised in a world where mental health is a scam. Psychiatrists are basically Darth Vader, and your problems can only be solved with Scientology by yelling at an ashtray and a whole bunch of other crazy things they had us do. I mean, Emily's been trained to believe that if you're feeling depressed, it's probably because some psychiatrist implanted a bad memory onto you 75 trillion years ago. Scientology is not an advocate for actual mental health therapy. They want to sell Scientology. So her message here with this kind of F therapy, I don't know. Tell me what you think. What do you guys think in the live chat? What do you think this means? And if you're on the replay, tell me your thoughts as well. Because, Scientology, they have this motto, think for yourself. It really should be, why talk to a therapist when you can just talk about your past lives instead? And they want to end psychiatry. We know this. Citizens Commission on Human Rights does that work there. It's just when Chester was out there advocating for mental health, what was Emily thinking? If you're feeling sad, just get a touch of this. Scientology and mental health care are not two things that go together, and we know this. So was it bad form for Linkin Park to replace Chester with a Scientologist? I mean, yeah, in my opinion, that's like replacing an advocate for therapy with someone who thinks mental health is a myth invented by intergalactic psychiatrists, which is pretty much what happened. I mean, imagine booking a speaker on self-care and realizing halfway through they're selling e-meter starter packs, right? You don't need therapy. You just need to re-stimulate your past life trauma from the Galactic Confederacy. I don't think it's going to work. I really don't, but I don't know. You guys got to tell me what you think. I found this, I found it kind of surprising because she was really downplaying her relationship with Scientology, and that is such a bold move. It's so bold. So bold. Janet Burns says, yeah, doesn't she know there's a rock band called Therapy? Oh, is there? Kelly Copter, weird that it's on the curb like that. Reckon she put it there? Ooh, Kelly Copter with a plot twist. Do we think she got her own spray paint out about it? I don't know. Julie O'Connell says, it is a spit in the face of people who need therapy. My former stepsister had bipolar and schizophrenia, did by self-medicating herself with alcohol. So sorry, Julia. And truly, it is. It's just a slap in the face. I don't get it. Antics of a Mama Squirrel says she obviously needs therapy. Yeah, it's weird. And I was shocked because now it just stirs up the controversy again, which honestly, I'm not hating it because it's another opportunity to remind people about why Scientology is a family-destroying human trafficking cult. So I guess you can thank it for that. Now let's go take a look. I sat down with Aaron Smith-Levin at Growing Up in Scientology on Saturday, and we talked about a ton of stuff. If you didn't catch that video, it is definitely one worth watching. I love when we can recap these topics because we both kind of approach it from a different point of view at times. And I'm able to he'll spot things that I'm like, dang, I didn't even see that. And then I have a different point of view on things. So I love being able to chat with him about this stuff. Liz Gale says, I'm coming for Emily on TikTok. Now I'm so grossed out by her message. Oh, yes. Liz, are you going to share it on YouTube as well? I'm like hardly ever on TikTok. I can barely figure out how to work it, but I hope you share it here too. If not, send me a link of that TikTok or I'll go find it. I want to share that and see what Liz Gale ends up doing. Okay, so back to this conversation I had with Aaron Smith-Levin. We got to talking about how Scientologists approach death and birth and recruiting, how they're trying to secure Scientologists who've gotten to the top of Scientology's bridge to total freedom. How are we going to ensure these people return into Scientology families? Because there's a belief in Scientology that you can actually do that. So let's take a look at this. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing there. Yep. We're going to look at this clip and discuss.
Scientologists are obsessed with trying to telepathically negotiate deals to have other OT Scientologists who've died take their baby's body so that their baby doesn't have any BTs.
Maybe that's it. Because that is totally a thing.
That's why OT8 Scientologists who have freshly died are like hot commodities because they're like, oh, a being with no BTs? I'll take that one.
And for anyone who might not know, BTs are a fictional, what's called body Thetan. They attach to us. Supposedly, they're alien souls, blah, blah, blah. L. Ron Hubbard was crazy. Most of you know the story. But BT referring to body Thetans. Yeah, that was so cringe. Oh my gosh. There was nothing, even on my best day in Scientology, I felt very uncomfortable when people would talk about, oh, you know, I see you're pregnant. Like make these arrangements like that as if they could. I knew a Scientologist that said her dog died, but her dog's Thetan was sticking around outside the house and waiting for her to have her son, and that her son is the dog Thetan. Like this, you know, it was like her dog was like her baby until she had a child. And then she said that she was able, because she had done the L's, she could tell that being to stick around because she's going to have this baby. And now her baby is the dog. And this girl told people that. I'm like, girl, at least say like your baby was Jesus or something. You're over here like, this was my dog. That is a true story. And I thought it was odd when I heard it. And I heard it directly from the woman who believed it. Because I was like, she seemed proud of that. And I guess why that struck me as funny is because there are a lot of Scientologists, not all, but a good amount, who, you know, say they were somebody significant and famous in the past. But to drag out my kid is my dog, like, I don't see how that's something you want to be proud of. I just thought it was weird. Antics of a Mama Squirrel. Does the dog Thetan come with fleas? Yeah, I don't know. You got to wonder. You gotta wonder. It's just like in the world of Scientology, it's like nothing really ends up surprising me sometimes. But as you all know, I get surprised all the time. I feel like nothing should surprise me, but then I hear things or reminded of certain things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did we think that? Anna from MA says Scientologists just can't help themselves. They seem to sabotage themselves whenever possible. And interesting you say that, Anne, because L. Ron Hubbard said that the criminal will always get caught because they want to be caught. So they will do things to sabotage themselves. So by Scientology's own belief system, could be Emily Armstrong is doing just that. Things are going too well. On some level deep inside, does she know what her relationship with Scientology, how damaging that is, and how the fans would take this? I don't know. It's a lot of craziness, but yeah, you want the whole Scientology reincarnation, trying to find the operating Thetans without body Thetans thing is very alive and well. It is. Now let's take a look at Scientology Audit, Streets LA. Let's see here. This is a little short clip here. He was outside the Hollywood testing center and caught them with the doors open, which is always so much fun.
Don't do it. It's a cult. That's a cult right there. This is Scientology. It's a cult. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I wonder if the person did it. You know, I always wonder with these clips, like what happened afterwards. Guess you got to go watch the whole video. I'm going to link down below to all of the articles and videos that we're talking about here. So you can find all that right after the video. I'm seeing some of your answers to the question of the day, and they're awesome. Kelly Copter says, I want to know where the freed body Thetans go. Thetan vacation. Well, my understanding, Kelly, because I did some of those operating Thetan levels, is it wasn't very clear. But my takeaway was that they're free to go get another body and that they will likely want to be born into a Scientology family or find Scientology because it was Scientology that freed them as a body Thetan. But now they have a choice. So my takeaway was not that they're going to go around reattaching to some other human like David Miscavige fears. We found out recently, thanks to Tom DeVox's blog on Substack, that David Miscavige, one of his biggest fears is he is afraid of body Thetans. And for some weird reason, afraid of body Thetans attached to children. It's just so weird and bizarre. So I don't know. It is a lot to think about and process. So let's take a look at, this is actually from another article is this from the Underground Bunker? It is. And you all got to see this because this has to do with the Sea Org and staff contracts and how you sign your life and your soul away when you join the Sea Organization or Scientology staff. And I looked at this thing, you know, if I didn't sign this one, it was one that was similar from back in the day. But this definitely gave me some thoughts when I was reading through this. And again, this is from Tony Ortega over on the Underground Bunker. I will link it below if you're not only already subscribed to his Substack. Check it out. He's got a free way that you can subscribe, and then there's a paid way as well. So look at this here. That's David Miscavige. It almost looks like he was photoshopped in, but that could be a real photo. He's just looking, just looking ahead, seeing the sights, what's happening. That is on the Scientology ship, the Free Winds. So if you are thinking of joining Scientology Sea Org, which hopefully nobody here in this chat is, but if you are, that's okay. This information is for you. He sure does love his blue suits though, too. I noticed that too. He wears those a lot. Okay, so all you got to do is sign a billion-year contract, but there's an additional contract you have to sign as well. Well, Sea Org billion-year contract, staff members don't sign that. They sign a 2.5 or a 5-year contract, right? So before you can even scrub a toilet on the Free Winds, you need to sign this. And he goes over the contract in the blog article, the confidentiality covenant. And this makes selling your soul to the devil look like a casual handshake, because this is the reason many cannot successfully then sue Scientology, because of these agreements and these arbitration agreements and other things that they just had us all sign. Now, the contract doesn't say don't talk about Scientology. It says never, ever, under any circumstance, breathe a word about what you saw, heard, or thought while serving David Miscavige and L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, that's really what it gives. And it lasts forever, in perpetuity. Like after you die, you're still under contract. So is that Scientology's way of saying, like, okay, even when you're a disembodied Thetan, you can't go tell other Thetans what you saw in Scientology. So Scientology literally wants to silence you even after death, when you were in the afterlife or whatever happens after you die. I don't know. I'm still wondering. Yeah. Wrap your head around that one. That's a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, even probably the devil looks at that and goes, dang, that's hardcore Scientology. That is hardcore. You're voluntarily waiving all your rights. You're saying goodbye to free speech, due process, or any protection from the California Constitution. And if you ever dare speak out, oh, boom, 20,000 fine for a breach. Forget the billion-year contract. You'll be in debt for eternity. I wonder if that's enforceable. If you think you can blow the whistle on Scientology after leaving, think again. Although you can, because even though we all sign these contracts, Scientology We haven't seen them take a former Scientologist and try to put them on the stand since Debbie Cook. And we all know how that ended. She blabbed the business. Girl just blabbed the business. Sat up on that stand and was like, yeah, David Miscavige and his people put me in a garbage can, dumped water on me, and called me a lesbian and other names and other things that she witnessed in there. And Scientology shut that. They were suing her. They took a break. They were like, stop, stop, stop. And I think they slid a girl a check and was like, okay, let's stop talking about this. So that's why they don't do it, because they know the minute we get up on that stand, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. But this contract that Tony Ortega shares, it has a no snitching clause that makes the mafia look chill. It really does. You will not assist, aid, or even think about helping anyone hostile to Scientology. And if you do, they'll drag you to court without notice and you'll pay for their lawyers. Now, we've not seen this happen. Why? Because of what I just told you. And no NDA can prevent you from exposing laws that were broken. So you can't have witnessed or been involved in Scientology. This is my understanding. I'm not a lawyer. Okay. This is my 2 cents Google understanding of this. An NDA doesn't mean you can't talk about those things. You can't share or report them if they were illegal. And most of what was done and happening and that is exposed about Scientology is just that. So I thought that was very interesting. So if you leave the SEER organization and you think you can write a tell-all memoir, yes, you can. Many do. They want you to think that they're going to slap you with a lawsuit faster than Tom Cruise running in Mission Impossible. But, you know, they're not. I've not seen that. I've just not seen that. So that's what I think there. You should go ahead and read the whole article for sure. Now, will they excommunicate you? Yes. Will they try to drag you through their lower conditions to make you make up the damage? If you want to stay in good standing with Scientology, yes. Will they bankrupt you for eternity? Probably. So it's basically like Scientology's version of Monopoly. Go directly into debt, do not pass go, and do not collect $200. You cannot. You got to hand it to the register. And if you leave, everything you learned, saw, or whispered is still confidential, even if you write a blog post about your experience. So of course they in Scientology's ideal world, nobody would be talking about it, but we do. And there's not much they can do about it because it is the truth. So confidentiality applies, but only if you stay in good standing. When it comes to them, though, sharing your deepest, darkest from your auditing sessions, because we were all told and led to believe everything we talk about in an auditing session. That's like, you know, that's that clergy penitent privilege. No one's going to look at it until you step out of pocket, and then they're going to write down what they think might embarrass you, and they will outright make things up. I've seen them do this over and over and over again with people. So confidentiality applies when you're sharing with Scientology up until the point you are no longer in good standing with Scientology. That's Scientology logic. They can sue you anytime, anywhere, but if you try to sue them, good luck, because this contract says you gave up that right. It's insane. You'll be spending a lot of time in court. So if you want to, I don't think anybody here is thinking of joining the Sea Org, but if you do, read this article in the Underground Bunker, because this contract makes selling your freedom look like you're signing up for a free stress test. But we all know how that ends. And so many don't actually read it, is the thing, right? I mean, who reads half of what we sign and agree to, right? How many apps have you downloaded and not read the terms of service? And that is something that Scientology counts on. And trust me, if you're a Scientologist sitting there saying, you know, I'd really like my lawyer to look at that, girl, you're going to end up in ethics. You're going to end up having to do lower conditions. You're going to get in all kinds of trouble. It is not a good thing. Not at all. But check that out. I'm going to link it below. Something else y'all should check out. Marilyn Honig at Coffee, Cult, and Crafts did an interview the other day that was really interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this. You should take a look at this. Let's watch the clip, then we'll talk about it. She interviewed somebody who was in, I think it was like a Pentecostal type cult.
You know, that's just how it is there.
So were you
and they say
paid?
that it's for your benefit, but
Yeah.
but then when they start using the things that they learn about you against you and bring it up in different meetings and talk about it behind your back. I mean, we literally have stories from ex-ramp leaders or people who were back there with the leaders who attest that they would gossip about everything they found about students and just chat it up about, everyone's dark secrets, everyone's old sins. And they're always obsessed with knowing everything about your sexual history,
Oh, totally.
obsessed with that. It's really creepy. And it just makes you feel uncomfortable even now just talking about it, how much control and how much we give over to them, because we believe it's for our benefit, I guess. It's
it's for the cause, and you have to give up your autonomy and everything. And
just like we were talking about with Scientology's contract, it was a very interesting conversation. And the parallels to Scientology were crazy, which goes to show cults be culting. Cults are using the same playbook. So the more we learn about Scientology tactics, it also, I feel like, inoculates us against other cults. We're like, okay, this seems familiar. I recognize this before. And his story, too, of coming out is very interesting. So if you get a chance, check that out. That's on Marilyn's channel. I will link it down below. Coffee, Cults, and Crafts. All right, where am I? Oh, my gosh. That's right. Speaking of other cults, this was bizarre. This one, I got to say, this story, it triggered me because I had this happen multiple times in Scientology, and I never liked it when they would lock us in rooms for fundraisers. One of the last Scientology events I ever went to, that went down where they just shut the door and we're like, okay, no one's going anywhere until we raise X amount of money. And I'm over here thinking, boy, only the crazies in Scientology would do that. And of course I was wrong because Marvin Sapp has proved me wrong there. This is not just a Scientology cult thing. He says to his congregation, no one leaves until we get $40,000. Ushers, close the doors. Can you imagine? He took church fundraising to a whole new level, telling them to lock the doors until everyone coughs up. I don't know, what was it, like $20 a person or more, I'm sure. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine being in that situation? Yes, I can. I was there. This is giving major reg cycle vibes, registration, the registrars. They were the people who take the money in Scientology. Scientology, they'll literally lock you in a room with a registrar who won't let you leave until you've handed over your last dime, your future inheritance, and possibly your firstborn child. That is actually true. That happened to me. They didn't want her when she was born. They didn't even want her born. But as soon as she was old enough for manual labor, boy, did they want to get their hands on her. And if you try to say, oh, I'll think about it, they'll hit you with, but what would Ella Wright say? Do you want to be a suppressive person? There's always that threat there. Next thing you know, you're selling your car just to get halfway through operating Thetan level 3, where you can meet your very own body Thetans. Well, this guy, Marvin, had people walking up to the stage to show him their donations. This is so parallel to Scientology, who loves a good show me the money moment. Ever finish a course? You're not done until they've seen the invoice for your next one. You finish a course, you go down, you pay, you go back up. You follow what's called a routing form with all these steps on it that basically involve getting you back into the course room or back into the auditing session. And if for some reason you bug up at the registrar and you're not given the money, or you say you don't have the money, they will really put the pressure on you. So once you've attested to clear, right, it's like, great, now you got to do operating Thetan level 1. They, ask you for all the money. And if you try to leave, and and let's not forget the International Association of Scientologists. Those donations, you have to make those. Well, this guy Marvin says, if you're using your phone to donate, you still got to prove it. He wanted screenshots or it didn't happen. I just cannot. This is so crazy. It's basically like a success story on steroids. This is just weird. If you switched out this guy's church for Scientology, I mean, it could be the same. Because every time you finish a course or auditing, right, you got to go back. And him having people show me the screenshots and prove to me that you actually did pay. What is that? Did people actually leave? I mean, oh my gosh, it's so cringe to me. And I got to admit, I found that to be a bit triggering. Yeah, Kelly Copter, it's essentially group robbery. And I mean, is this like, are we going to see more and more of this? Or I'm hoping that other churches are not like, you know what? This works so well for Scientology. Close those doors. I hope not. I seriously hope not. But I hear what you're saying, Kelly, and I think you're right. Northern Girl says, tell me you're in a cult without telling me you're in a cult. Lock the doors. Yeah, in what scenario? Did I see Moose on the loose? Hey, Moose. I agree, Kelly. How is this not illegal? Pincha Leslie says, this should be considered kidnapping for the intent to extort money out of them. It's crazy work. It really is. It really is. I just think there's no way around it. Now some people, we talk about Shelly Miscavige. We know where she is. It's kind of fun and funny to say, where is Shelly? But she has not been seen in public in a long time. What do you think she's doing there in Scientology? A big question is she waiting for the return of L. Ron Hubbard? Because she does work at one of the bases that has the house for L. Ron Hubbard to come back to. Well, Aaron, growing up in Scientology, got to have a little short here. Check this out, you guys. Let's talk about this.
It was Tom DeVocht who told the story in the episode about Shelly. Explained that the reason Shelly Miscavige is still in Scientology and in the C organization and is not, being held against her will and is there because she wants to be, is because she believes L. Ron Hubbard is coming back. And that is why Shelly would want to still be there when L. Ron Hubbard returns to fix everything that David Miscavige has messed up. It's actually Tom who gave that perspective on the TV show. It was Tom.
Isn't that interesting? And I would believe that she would still be a hardcore believer and is waiting for L. Ron Hubbard to come back. So she feels like, she's just doing the work, living her best life. From what I hear, where she's at is kind of a cush job. Not that many people there. Most importantly, David Miscavige is not there. That's probably a big bonus for her. Get me away from that man. All right, now let's take a look at a clip from... This is from Time with Tim Fletcher. Jenna Miscavige has done, I want to say 3 interviews now with him. And this was interesting. They put this clip out. Let's look at it. Then we're going to talk about it as well.
Life is all about connection to healthy people. And so we understand that if we lose healthy people, then we're going to grieve. You're going to feel a lot of pain. But if you had an unhealthy person in your life, you'd be quick to want to leave them and you wouldn't feel any pain. But complex trauma, it just messes everything up. So if the only relationships you have are with unhealthy people within an unhealthy system, and that's all you know, and then all of a sudden that's taken away from you, well, there's an element now of trauma and pain there that doesn't even make sense to some people. Because it's like, well, you should be happy to be out of there. Like you should be running as far as you can, celebrating being, but that's all I knew. That was my whole support system. So that's where complex trauma just gets like, wow, that's muddled. That's really complicated. But
it really explains to and gets into like why it can take so long to recover from Scientology and high control groups. Because of this complete mind bender stuff that they do and the things that they get us to believe and we adopt, especially when you are born into this and raised into it and you don't know another way. That's only the way that you've ever known. I think Tim Fletcher's done such an amazing job with these interviews with Jenna and breaking things down that I feel like I'm getting therapy when I watch it. And I've heard back from multiple people who've been watching these interviews. They're on Time with Tim Fletcher. That's his newer channel. He has 2 channels. I'll link this one down below and then you'll be able to see it. Yes, Brooke Elliott, this has been great therapy to all. I agree. Northern Girl says this series with Tim Fletcher and Jenna was amazing. I agree. Julia says Tim Fletcher is amazing. George Massey, I got so much from the Fletcher videos. It's so relatable to everyone's own issues. That is so true. And that was kind of my takeaway. Like, wow, this could relate to so many different situations. You don't have to have been raised in Scientology. And I think that's why people are kind of really grabbing onto it, right? Even Bo Beat says, you couldn't agree with that guy more. Yeah, it's fascinating watching it. It really is. So check that out. I'll link it down below. I think there's been 3 or 4 interviews, and each one to me has felt like therapy when I watch it. So I really appreciate that Jenna Miscavige was willing and able to do the interviews, because it's so much about her and her life. And that is such a vulnerable thing to share. And I appreciate that, because so many of us can benefit from that. So go ahead and check it out, y'all. Now let's go and pop over to Clearwater and talk a little bit about Erica, who was arrested last week. Well, Mark Bunker at Xenu TV, he's been able to take some of the audio, not just from like an interview with Erica, but also the original audio with her body cam. He cleaned it up. So you can find that on Xenu TV. You can hear more. We're going to look at, this is from Xenu TV. I do believe she's speaking to Aaron at Growing Up in Scientology. And I think Bunker was able to clean up some of the audio so we can hear it well here. Let's give this a listen.
A lot of people were driving by and were very, so I don't know. Some of them I'm sure recognized what was going on, but what are they going to do?
So she's talking about when the police approached her and she was arrested and then spent the night and day in jail.
Yeah. Did the police know that you had a body camera on you?
When they took it off me, yeah.
Were they a little, sometimes their demeanor changes when they see a camera.
He goes, because this is a model that they use.
Yeah, looks legit.
This? What's this? So what do you think that is? And he's got the sign on the hood of the car. And he throws it down on the sign like he's pissed at it. And then I think he went to turn it off, which I didn't tell him he should turn
That's
it off.
not okay for him to turn off your camera.
I believe we'll see when he turned it off.
Right. Right.
So again, you can see the original body cam footage on Xenu TV with some cleaned up audio if you want to check that out. Yep, Swedish Andrea, she brings beautiful, calm energy. I would agree. Love Erica. Absolutely. And Teresa says, I watched each episode of Tim Fletcher and Jenna multiple times. Each time I pick up on something new. I can totally see that happening, Teresa. I very much feel that way as well. All right, now let's take a look at, this is from Growing Up in Scientology. This is from the Friday night protest. And I don't know if y'all know, but there has been a new protester unlocked. A new character has spawned in the world of protesting Scientology. And you all are never going to guess who it is. A couple of you, so no cheating. No cheating, but a couple of you will know. Yep. Hey, Wendy. She's such a boss and so generous with her time. I agree. She really is. Okay. So you're not going to believe who it was. It's Friday night at the boat. Actually, you might, if you were watching the Friday night protest. Let's watch the clip, and then I'm going to show you a couple additional images here to share. So let's see. Let's watch this.
With Wendy and Bunker. Wow, so that's 3 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We got 13 people out here with at least 2 more coming. 15. Oh, look, it showed up. Why is he staying back there? Why is he staying back there? We've always wanted to get a Cybertruck honk. Oh, she's waving. Give us a honk. Give us a honk.
Aaron got so close to getting his Cybertruck honk. So there were something like over 20 people, I think, there by the end of the night. Jamie Castro was, of course, there. I think Jamie's in the chat. Hey, Jamie. Mama Opal was there. And this brings us to our newest protester of Scientology. And it was not, Mama Opal was there protesting Scientology. She's done that before as well. But Papa Opal was out there. Check him out. Honk if Scientology is a cult. He picked up a sign and he got down to business. And it didn't stop there. He didn't stop protesting Scientology. at that Friday night. He then, look at that. These are all promotional items that he picked up. He pulled a Windy City Thetan watch, saw a Scientology recruiter handing this out and was letting people know, you don't want that. That's a cult. And these are the promotional items or propaganda pieces from Scientology that he collected. So I think it's so fun. Look at him out there. So you'll see him on some of the streams and the videos, but shout out to Papa Opal for being the newest Scientology protester to head out. I just love that. Sandy McKenna says, nothing says we're totally not a cult like arresting the nicest person at the protest on camera. You are so right, Sandy. That is so true. That's right, Feral Cheryl. Feral Cheryl, of course, is out there, always out there. Papa Opal was rocking the protest. That's so fun. Yeah, Wendy, all in, all weekend. All weekend, he was all in. Scientology up north. Nice. How fun is that? Brooke Elliott, I think it was a blast. It really looked like it. I was watching different streams. I was also playing with my grandson, but tracking on a lot of it. I love watching it on Friday night, and it was so exciting to see so many people there and so many new people as well, including some people from the First Amendment community, First Amendment auditors who came out because they're very interested in what happened to Erica, and they are not down with that. Rem Art says, yeah, go Papa Opal. So fun to see him and Mama out on the Clearwater streets. You never know when they might pop up. Jamie Castro says, a few weeks ago, we had a lot of people too. We had 13 people. That's fabulous, Jamie. A great gig in the sky. Love Clearwater protests. Aaron has so much fun. He deserves to enjoy himself and be supported. I agree. And I love that people are out there having fun as well. And just be, I just love it. Able to lean on each other. Feral Cheryl, by all of us enjoying processing so much, it really makes OSA itchy. That's right. The Office of Special Affairs, they are just not down with people having fun, creating community, sharing about Scientology. No, you should be all sad and, in a corner rocking. That's where they want us. That's why they do a lot of the button pushing and things that they try to do. So I thought that was super cool and very fun. Now, another thing that I got a big kick out of watching was Ricky Glaser. If you've been following my channel, Ricky Glaser was on a week ago or so. Maybe it was a week and a half by now. And he has a channel, Ricky Glaser, and another channel, Ricky Glaser Reacts, where he's been reacting to a lot of the news of Aaron Cairo and Braille skateboarding and the ties to Scientology and what Scientology has to do with all of it. And I've been loving seeing him and his audience learn more and the reasons why Scientology is a family destroying human trafficking cult. It's one thing to say it, but to understand why and share that is a whole nother thing. And Ricky's been really sharing that. I agree, Brooke Elliott. Ricky, where'd you go? There we go. Ricky is a really nice guy, truly. Let's take a look at this clip because he is reacting to LA Mayor Karen Bass. What I love most is him reacting to it. So let's react to his reaction. Let's react to Ricky Glaser reacting. It's one of my favorite things to do now, but I love his reaction to this. Watch.
Cold around. Oh, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. You're running for mayor of one of the biggest cities in the world, right? One of the biggest cities in the US, biggest state economy in the US. Oh my God. And now oh my God. The anticipation is killing me right now.
It is about Scientology. Your opponent introduced that
Yes.
by virtue of ubiquitous commercials about it. But it's a fair thing to ask. You said, and I'm quoting you now, I know your goal, meaning Scientology, and your commitment is truly to make a difference. Recently, when asked about that, you said that you were unaware of how controversial, I'm paraphrasing you now, but you were unaware of how controversial the Church of Scientology has been. And had you known it at the time you now say, you would not have given that speech. So my question to you is, considering that Scientology has been in the news for decades and decades before you made that speech, Is it really credible? Are you asking voters to believe that
She
10
still
years
won
ago
is insane.
you were totally unaware?
No, I am not. I certainly.
All right, let's see the cope. Let's see the back pedal. How much do you think she got paid for that? I didn't really I don't know enough about politics that like what was her title? What is
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I know that Scientology works hard to get local politicians and people who they think are thought leaders or opinion leaders, how they're called in Scientology, to come in to speak. But how you live in LA and you don't know about Scientology? I'm not buying it. I think she thought she could get away with something, or Scientology offered her something, whether it was support, maybe they made a financial contribution. I don't know, but that's what they do to get people to speak at these things.
what does this mean? California State Assembly. Like, what does that mean? Like, how high up is that or whatever? But holy shit, I'm scared to see what she says right now.
I am not. I certainly knew of some of Scientology's abuses. I didn't know the depth of them. I learned.
Okay, I know Ricky's going to comment on that, but that was like, you knew about it, but you didn't know the depth of it. I knew about it. Oh, I knew about it. I just didn't know the depth of it. But you knew about it. How you know about it, you don't know the depth of it. Like, that is a statement that is just not helping her. I don't get that at all. No, you knew about it. You knew about it. And I love what Ricky said about having secondhand embarrassment for her, because it's so cringe. It really is.
Learned it later. Let me just say that I am a lifelong Baptist. I've never been affiliated with the Scientology religion. I was
except when I was there at their ribbon cutting, singing their praises in my community.
Therefore,
what? I'm pretty sure that was affiliating. Homie?
the depth of them, I learned it later. Let me just say that I am a lifelong Baptist. I've never been affiliated with the Scientology religion. I was there.
Except when you were singing their praises at that event and at other times too as well. Bo Beats, Elite Sheep. Aloha for the super sticker. Any plans for Jake at Altwardly back on or vice versa? Yes. Jake and I need to get back on to working that out. We were having like major schedule issues and I got sick and then he was sick. Thank you, Bo Beach, for that reminder, because I do want to have Jake back on and continue conversations with him. Those that don't know, Jake over at Alt Worldly is a former JW. He does a great job just sharing about so much, his experience, survival stories. He breaks down news about it. So if you're ever curious about learning more about the JWs and why they are a cult, Alt Worldly is a great channel for that. Thank you for that. I do want to get back on that. In fact, where's my book? I got to remember to write it down. If I don't write it in the book, it doesn't get done. Scientology Up North says, Karen Bass, I thought it was just a little abuse. Yeah, I thought it was just like a little abuse, not like a ton of abuse, just a little. That's like saying, you know what? I love chocolate cake. And if you want to dump some dog crap in it, just put a little bit. It'll be okay. It's a little bit. It's still dog crap in your cake. So she's trying hard to backpedal, and it is just not working. Terry asked William Good what he thinks of Karen Bass's lying. Oh, yes. You know what would be fun is to do a reaction video to that with William Good. I wonder if he would do that. I should reach out. I haven't talked to William on screen in a while. That would be fun. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, E.S. Gotcher, exactly. I knew Ted Bundy was killing people, but I just didn't know the depth of it. Like, no, what is that? And yes, great gig in the sky. No one asked about your religion or what it was. That's not going to help you distance yourself from Scientology. You already did it on tape, on video. People can hear it. That's right, Leslie. You're affiliated now, aren't you? Aren't you really affiliated now? That's true, Renee. He does. William Good protests her hard, as he should. There are a multitude of other issues that he talks about on his Film the Police channel as well. So you can get caught up over there and check it out. Then, of course, his I just totally had a menopause brain fart. Oh my God, William Good's channel. Scientology Audit Streets, LA. It always comes back. It's usually just a little bit over here. And I just got to like, what was that? Okay, let's see. Yeah, Karma is so disappointing. I liked her for a little while now. That is absurd. She had to have known who they are. I agree. There's like no way. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah, Jesse, so much content, hard to keep track of. There is, trust me. I could go for 3 hours today. I'm not going to, but that's how much stuff was in there that I want to talk about and that people have been sending that I think are stories we need to talk about. Let's see. Nancy Stigen. She misses the point. Not knowing how controversial something is only promotes her candidacy. I'm a Baptist. How about being a concerned citizen running for an office to make change? Nancy, that is such a great point, and what a great way of putting it too. You're right. Be a concerned citizen. Because the other thing I didn't see her get into, now granted, I didn't watch that whole debate there, but well, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? You know now. So now you know the depths of the abuses. Because you said, I knew there was abuse. I just didn't know the depth of it. Like you do today, like you do now. This was a while ago. So what have you done since then to deal with the abuses you now know about, you admit you know about, with Scientology in your community, in your town? What are you doing? You know now. So she's still talking out both sides of her mouth on that one. Let's see. Sharona says William Good posted on X that a Scientologist was outside his place and followed the person who dropped them off home. He's on fire about it. Can't wait for content from him about it. Ooh, which channel? Oh, did you say which channel? Well, if that was recently, I want to go check that out for sure. You're welcome, MS. Anytime I can bring poop into a conversation, I try to. Chocolate cake and dog poop. Yeah, because it's like, it's a little. It's just a little. No, even a little will poison something, right? You shouldn't be eating it if there's dog poop in it, even just a little. Roll the dice if you want and do it, but I'm not going to. But she thinks it's okay. Lorraine's got a great comment about Linkin Park. I love Linkin Park with Chester. I saw them and they were amazing. I'm disappointed that Linkin Park got Emily since she is a Scientologist. She has such a great voice, but I will not support this cult. I agree. All right, now that we got through that disturbing piece, and check out Ricky Glaser Reacts on that channel. He is reacting to a lot of things related to Scientology, and I love it. I love when people never in Scientology, but all in on ending this cult, share stuff like that because it's so refreshing. The reaction is the right reaction. But for myself, growing up in Scientology, I never had that reaction at the time because all I knew was Scientology. I just had those blinders on. And even now, there's many things that happen that would warrant a bigger reaction than I give it, because every other day was a crisis when you're in the Sea Org or growing up in Scientology by nature of being connected to Scientology. Yep, I agree, Jesse. Karen Bass needs to be held accountable for the fires and with Scientology. Those are definitely a couple things that she should be answering some questions on. Now, let's talk about Mike Brown's recent video with Rosemary, his mom. Did y'all see it already? Put a one in the chat if you've already seen it. If not, you got to go to Mike Brown after this and watch this video. I am going to link it down below. Mike Brown's mom, Rosemary, shares what happened when she basically and others on the Rehabilitation Project Force had to remove asbestos with no safety protocols in place and how it actually made her sick. This is like insanity. Let's look at a couple things because she breaks it down here. Let's see. Let's watch this first clip. This is Mike Brown's mom, and you can find this on Mike Brown's channel.
Breathing issues, or was she ever having to be on supplemental
I can't
oxygen?
ever remember her being sick about anything.
Okay, so we have fairly good genetics when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Now you currently are using.
Mike Brown is asking her questions about her health and family health to kind of establish that, you know, there's no family history of the kind of illness that Rosemary is dealing with today, yet here we are.
supplemental oxygen.
Yeah.
What happens if you are not wearing supplemental oxygen just in your day-to-day activities now?
Oh, if I don't, my oxygen level will go down below 90. It'll be hard for me to breathe. And my fingernails are turned blue. So I know that I better get back onto the oxygen. I'm wearing it right now. And I have to wear it like when I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't, like when I recline, my oxygen level will go down. I just didn't want that to happen. The doctor made me, prescribe that I use it during the night. And then I use it during the day. Sometimes I can get away with not using it, but a lot of the times I have to be on it, like right now.
Breathing issues, or was she ever having to be on supplemental?
I love that, he points that out, right? Like there isn't a family history of this. And Itchy Thetans says, everyone who worked on that project needs to get medical help and file a class action lawsuit. This poor woman. I agree. And there were kids too that were exposed to asbestos. Jenna Miscavige talks about that in her story. Sandy McKenna says Scientology talks about spiritual freedom, but the Rehabilitation Project force was physical, psychological, and environmental prison. People were forced to clean out asbestos-filled ducts with no protective gear. And she gets even more into it. Let's take a look at this next clip here. Where she talks about living conditions while on the Rehabilitation Project force.
15 people in a space like this.
Okay.
I'm not making it up.
This is a 10 by 10 room.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bunch of women, 3 racks, 3 up.
Did you have lockers to keep your things in?
We'd have a little locker, maybe about, this big.
Okay.
And then you'd fold up your underwear and socks and t-shirt. And then roll up maybe you'd have a couple pair of pants, old black chunky pants. That was all you had.
So the clothing that you had consisted of a couple pairs of pants. Did you wear shoes or work boots?
Yeah, I happened to have those, those work boots that they issued me when I first came on the EPF, when I first joined Scientology.
They're black tactical boots.
Those I still had them, thank God, because I didn't have any tennis shoes or anything that I could wear.
She was on the Rehabilitation Project force. Wasn't it 6 years? You guys didn't she say 6 years? She was on that program. And yep, Swedish Andrea, her story is absolutely heartbreaking. And let's not forget how Mike Brown, with the help of others, got her out of that place and away from Scientology. I mean, they broke her out of it. And she also talks about, so in this next clip, she really gets into basically what they did and how there were no safety protocols in place for them.
So it's sort of like falling on us.
Was the material falling down on you, or the fibers of the material? Would it get on your clothing?
Yeah, yes.
Would it get in your hair?
It'd be in our hair. It'd be all over our shirts and stuff.
I'm guessing you were provided like protective equipment in order to handle the asbestos removal.
We didn't have anything on us.
So you weren't provided like work suits or anything in order to seal your clothing off from the exposure to the asbestos? No. Did you have gloves?
We had gloves, yeah. I remember having gloves.
Okay. Did you have like a hat or anything that you could wear over your head? Like some sort of face shield or anything to keep the asbestos out of your eyes or out of your hair?
No.
Were you given masks?
We didn't have masks. No.
Like N95 masks or respirators that were able to give you filtered air in order to not get asbestos exposure?
No.
So is there a chance that you potentially could have inhaled some of this?
I'm sure I inhaled it, be cleaning it up. So it's.
How do you not? It's in your hair. It's on your clothes. It is everywhere. E.S. Gotcher, they got the order of the words wrong. Rehabilitation Project force should be Forced Rehabilitation Project. I agree. This is massively disturbing. The amount of people that were exposed to this, and again, even children, is shocking. No protection at all. And I mean, the lengths you have to go to get rid of asbestos, to take care of it. I mean, it's no joke. It is a very serious situation. And here's Scientology. Oh, let's just put in the rehabilitation project force. Like these people don't matter. Their lives don't matter. That's why so many people refer to this as slave labor. Because in the eyes of Scientology, it would seem that their lives don't matter. What happens to them later doesn't matter. What matters is getting the job done with the least amount of money. And why? Why? Really? Why? So Scientology can now have bridge publications where they can print all their own materials. You can't tell me with all the money that Scientology has, they couldn't have gone the route of safety protocol, of bringing in a company who knows how to do that, of following all kinds of OSHA guidelines. I mean, this is insanity. It is complete insanity. Sandy says, how many more survivors have to come forward before someone holds this organization accountable? I agree. She also talks about, as if that's not bad enough on the rehabilitation project force, that you are being covered in asbestos with no concern whatsoever for your health. When it came to hygiene, what she had to do, because they had no money. When you're on the rehabilitation project force, you don't get the full Sea Org pay. You don't get your full $47. You're lucky if you get $15 a week while you're there working with asbestos. You're lucky if you get $15 a week. Sometimes they didn't even get that. And so let's listen to that part.
I remember not having any money to buy soap. We got permission to go to the canteen to buy soap.
And that's the little internal store inside of that building that Scientology owns.
Yeah, like a little store inside the building, because we couldn't go to the store or anything. But I remember I'd had to buy shampoo and soap, and their prices are always high.
Now, this is Scientology's canteen. At the blue buildings, when people go down the stairs where all the chairs and stuff are, there's a canteen in there. And Sea Org members can get snacks and hygiene items. So we're hearing from Rosemary, they had to buy their own items, of course, and the prices are jacked. Like you're jacking up the price for Sea Org members who on the rehabilitation project force are, if they are lucky, are getting $15 a week. They're not allowed to use scented products. And most of the time, unscented products cost more. And they can only go to the canteen because they can't go running off to Target or Walmart or anything like that. They can't leave the base. So on top of that, Scientology charges a lot of money for these products that they have to buy with their own money that they barely get. And sometimes they had no money. And listen to what Rosemary did to cover her hygiene supplies.
And I remember looking for, when I would go to the laundromat, when I had to clean that laundromat underneath the washing machines and the dryers, people would drop their money, because you have to put money into the machines to make them work.
Yeah.
So I would collect, I'd find a quarter, or I was always finding money on the street. And
just change, right?
Yeah, it would just be loose change. I remember not having any money.
It's just heartbreaking what they've done, what Scientology has done to people who went through these experiences, especially Rosemary. And Mike Brown's doing a great job of sharing her story. And it's disturbing because it should be. Liz Gale says, sounds like she didn't have clean clothes to change into after work either. So she'd be in that chemical all day and night. It does sound like that, right, Liz Gale? That people on the rehabilitation project force don't have, it's not like you bring all your stuff and you move in there. It's the clothes on your back, and you can't even wear those. You have to wear either a boiler suit, well, depending on what time, what year it was, right? They'd wear black, have the armbands on, which would tell you how far they were in their program and whether or not they could talk to you. And Terry, yes, her health started going downhill shortly after. It did. She had a giant cyst on the back of her head that had to be taken care of. She immediately then started not feeling well. Then she started having breathing issues. I mean, this is not good. And I'm so glad that Mike Brown is exposing this. This Office of Special Affairs, Rosemary Brown is coming for y'all. It is not too late to leave. I mean, look at this. She is one person that this happened to, and it happened to so many others, including very, very young people and children. In fact, Arkansas Flamingo shares, and remember that Jenna said that David Miscavige made them redo the vegetable gardens when he found out there was contaminated dirt there. And by them, we're talking about kids, children. He had the children redo the vegetable gardens when he found out there was contaminated dirt there. He didn't want to eat those vegetables, but no regard for others. No regard for anybody else. They can eat the vegetables. It's contaminated. Let's go put my niece and a bunch of other kids in there. I mean, just shocking. Just shocking. E.S. Gotcha, these people on the rehabilitation project first were like Orwell's Unperson in 1984, so their lives didn't matter. It does seem that way. That seems to be the theme of what we keep hearing over and over again. Professor Furberger, my father died from mesothelioma due to asbestos exposure. He was only 62. So sorry for the loss of your dad, especially that way. Antics of a Mama Squirrel, exactly. I owe my soul to the company store. Let's keep that canteen. The money just goes right back in. Give them their $15. They can't leave the base. They have to spend it right back there. They can only get what they have right back there. And if they don't get their money, you got Rosemary finding. I mean, that's kind of smart to look under there, actually. But that she had to do that. She's dedicated her life for 1 billion years, and this is how she's being treated. And that's not an exception. She's not a one-off. This with so many people. She talked about how there were over 200 people from the international base on the rehabilitation project force to do these projects. Super Weekend Warriors, good to see you. Sea Org is like the old mining companies. Work the mine all day, then go to the mine store to buy stuff. Yes, well said. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree, Liz Gale. This is outrageous. Kelly Copter said they should not be allowed to do that. They're trying to get all the payback. Yeah, it just stays right in there. Right in there. So it's on Mike Brown's channel. Check it out if you have not seen it. I'm going to get it all linked down below because it is a story that there's just so much more coming out about. And I'm glad that he's getting this on video and he's sharing that. All right, now we're going to talk about an article, a tabloid that yours truly is in. Somebody sent me to this. I didn't even know about it. I think this is, what is this? Is it the Daily Mirror? I think it is from, yeah, it's a Daily Mirror. It's the Mirror. And the Sun, I think, did this article some time ago. What is that, Liz? What does that mean? Peonage. Now I have a misunderstood word, Liz Gale. I might fall asleep or nod off. You got to tell me what that means. So I'm not going to read you this whole thing here because most of you, I think, are a little familiar with the story. So this is in the Mirror. John Lennon's killer bought drawings from me. There was always something odd about him. And, again, this is a story. I did an interview with the Sun well over a year ago, so I'm sure the Mirror just picked this up. My sister Lana and I would draw pictures and sell them to make money for candy. This is basically what the article covers, but it gets weird because Mark David Chapman was our best customer, the guy who assassinated John Lennon. We sold him 25 cents for each of the pictures that we would draw. And in hindsight, I should have charged more considering his future celebrity status, but how was I to know? My mom had been in Scientology for just a couple of years in Hawaii, and she was a staff member. So Lana, my sister, many of you have met her here on my channel, were left to wander the streets while she studied the tech. We got kicked out of the Scientology building for running a tiny art business. Again, selling these pictures, trying to make candy money. We always had a hustle. And apparently making money in Scientology is reserved only for L. Ron Hubbard. So we took our business outside where we met Mark, the security guard who bought our art. And yeah, he was a bit odd, but also encouraging. And honestly, he was our best customer. He wasn't just buying art. He would also tell us things like, don't go down the street. It's not safe over there. I mean, when somebody who's as disturbed as Mark David Chapman was, is paying more attention to our physical well-being than Scientology, who kicked us out of their building first. And again, I was turning 10. Lana was only like maybe 7.5. Surely the streets were a better place for us. I mean, in hindsight, Mark did give off very paranoid vibes, which makes sense, and I was a kid, but even then I was like, ooh, something's not totally right here. He seemed pretty intense. And it makes sense because months later, look what he went on to do. And because I was a good little, Sea Org recruit in training as a child, I encouraged him to take a personality test. I'd seen my mom do this multiple times because she was a body router in Scientology. Their word, not mine, where you take people into the organizations. And, why not recruit my best customer? Now, he did not take the personality test. He did go into Scientology and declare that this is a cult. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. So yes, I may have inadvertently body routed John Lennon's killer into Scientology, but he didn't stay. And I don't think, Scientology will make you lose your mind, but I think he was already well on his way. And again, he didn't actually do any Scientology. But not long after, he quit his job and he flew to New York. And on December 8th, 1980, he waited outside Lennon's apartment at the Dakota and pew-pewed him 5 times. Waited for the police, sat down, and decided this will be a great time to read The Catcher in the Rye. Because apparently murder and a good book go hand in hand, at least if you're Mark David Chapman. So after that, of course, the FBI came knocking to investigate. And that's when my family was temporarily banned from Scientology. And it was a beautiful, short period of time. I was hoping that it would be so much more, but it wasn't. It wasn't as we were actually right back there. God, as a kid, time is hard. I want to say it was maybe a month or 2. And the only way my mom will be allowed back is if my sister and I started our indoctrination. So that's when we officially started our indoctrination into Scientology. And it's wild to think about how, in a ways, I had a front row seat to history before it happened, as horrific as that was. I don't know, maybe I have to add to my LinkedIn. I sold my childhood art to John Lennon's killer. I don't think that's going to help anything, but not something you put on a resume, but a bizarre story. So that is currently, I'll link that down below too. It's in the Mirror, which is similar to, like I said, the story that I think that the Sun did. I'm going to grab some of these. What's happening here? I'm getting all tangled up. These question of the day. Oh, but first, Brooke Elliott. This is interesting. So in regard to Emily Armstrong flipping the bird to the word therapy, Brooke Elliott has a question. Maybe she's trying to clap back at Jenna for chalking the finger to flag. Ooh, Brooke, I forgot about that. I was even there. I was there that day. That's right. Jenna Miscavige did chalk the finger pointed at the superpower building. That's interesting. You got to wonder if she saw that. I don't know. Okay, so the question of the day, here's some answers. I think it could be hold my cans and move me. Candace says the Housewives of Scientology. Bina says the Captain Davy Done Messed Up variety show. That would be a great name, wouldn't it? And here Sandy McKenna's got a comment on Emily Armstrong. Emily Armstrong flipping off therapy is wild for someone joining a band famous for singing about needing it. Exactly. That's why it's so weird. Reintegrated Audi's answer to the question of the day is keeping up with the Thetans. That's what it should be called. Sandy McKenna says disconnected each week. One contestant must try to reconnect with a declared family member without getting declared themselves. It's emotional, it's infuriating, and it's totally scripted by L. Ron Hubbard. Sandy, that is a good one. Pincha Leslie says, Power Rangers, but more Power Thetans instead. Go, go, Power Thetans. I guess that's what it would be. Gina says it would have to be called Full Us. Amber says, oh my gosh, what is that year? 1,000, is it 1,000 billion or is that a trillion? Years and counting. That is a good one. Candace says it should be called Scientology Island. I like that. Itchy Thetans says, no, it should be Family Feud no more because they're disconnected from you. That's right. Are you tired of your family all getting up in your business? Are you tired of the endless phone calls questioning your life choices? Join Scientology. You will never have to see or speak to them again. If they started with more truth in advertising, I feel like they might get somewhere. Great gig in the sky. Xenu's Got Talent. That's a good one. Brooke Elliott, Hollywood Squares, Scientology edition. Mock has a great comment. Scientology being overachievers here. Why limit the demanded blind devotion to one's life when you can go for eternity? Exactly. When you can come back lifetime after lifetimes to be born into a Scientology family. Great gig in the sky says it should be called Who Wants to Marry a Scientologist? That would be a good one. Stasia says Breaking Bad, the grift. Lisa P. Scientology, love at first sight. Maybe it should be Scientology, love bombing at first sight. Stasia, this is a good one. It should be called Keeping Up with the Criminals. Thetan Shore from Candace. That's a good one. Twyla, Infinite Dollar Pyramid Scheme. No kidding. Eat More Pizza Now says, Office of Special Affairs would be bored without the Friday nights in Clearwater. I tend to agree with that. Great Gig in the Sky says it should be called Disconnect Family Feud Edition. Wireless Barb, The Little Brother. Scientology, How We Ruin People's Lives. Oh my gosh. Happy Healing Train. Who Wants to Lose $1 million? Yep, Fire and Ice. Let's make a Scientology deal. Real Unreal Reality. Oh my gosh, there could be a million ways. Bushman Buckets. 1 billion years under the sea. That's a good one. Scientology Island with an SP as the mole. Oh my gosh. That actually would be a great show. You'd never be able to talk Scientology into letting Scientologists do it, but you never know. I mean, Rebecca Minkoff went on The Real Housewives of New York. What if they could do that, Liz, where it was a group of Scientologists living in a house, kind of Big Brother style, and then they had to figure out who the suppressive person was? I love that. Or maybe that's the plot twist. They don't know that a suppressive person is there. Oh, that'd be even better because the big reveal would come out. Oh my gosh. I'm loving where this is going. Honorable, I did not see the major Scientology arrests in Russia today. If you have a link about that, could you send it to me, Natalie at lifeafteraccult.com? Y'all can send me links and timestamps and all that stuff there. I'll go search that up though. Animal Audit Corner, As the Sea Org Turns. Oh, that is a good one too. I'm going to be chatting with John Atack again today, 2 p.m. Central. We have a whole list of Scientology shenanigans to get into. Bush, are you smarter than a Scientologist? That's a good one too. Liz Gale says they should have the tech to discover the SP by their own standards. Liz, you should write this show. It would be so great. Arkansas Flamingo says, wouldn't they all be SPs if they were in communication with the mole? See, they would have to not know who the mole is. Like they would have to just think that person is another Scientologist, maybe. So it would have to be an unrecognizable suppressive person, of which there are many. Many people have been declared in Scientology who are not here on YouTube. There might even be more declared people than actual Scientologists. I don't know. But you guys tell me what you think about that. If you're on the replay, jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts on these topics. I do go back and like to read those. And let me know what your answer is to the question of the day. I want to hear from you. Liz Gale says they should be able to figure it out, but they won't be able to. Yeah, that's true, right? They can't find the suppressive. They all probably did the potential trouble source, shattering suppression multiple times, confronting and shattering suppression, and they wouldn't be able to figure it out. I agree with you completely. I would, oh my gosh, I would pay money to be the mole, to be on there pretending to be. I mean, I pretended to be a Scientologist in good standing for 2 years. So I feel like I've been training for this role. I've been practicing. Have fun reading all those game show ideas. I totally am. Auditing wars celebrity style. Thank you. Those are brilliant. I'm going to go back and read some more. I'm going to catch those on the replay as well. I hope you guys can join me today, 2:00 Central Time with John Atack. Otherwise, I hope you all get out and you have an amazing cult-free day.